Munich is the third largest city in Germany after Berlin and Hamburg and second most touristic city of the country. And it's here that we decided to come and explore for this new episode in Germany. We arrive in our hotel, not far from the center of the city to put down our bags. Direction subway to begin our visit. Munich is one of the most walkable cities in Europe, but it also has a subway, U-Bahn, suburban trains, S-Bahn, tramways and buses. All public transportation operates on the same ticket, so it's probably best to buy an unlimited day ticket, but single tickets are also available. Located in the western district of Munich, Olafur Eliasson's unusual sculpture is the result of a reflection of movement and light. He has created a fascinating endless staircase. This steel spiral moves and changes shape depending on the angle of view. A work of art, stunning. We continue our walk in the Bavaria Park, which was planted between 1825 and 1831 at the investiture of King Ludwig I. Sculptures and statues were added in 1907 and 1908, such as the Wild Horses by George Romer. The Ruhmeshalle, a Doric temple with 3 wings, was also commissioned by King Ludwig I. It's located on the Theresienwiese and is inseparable from the allegorical statue of Bavaria. The temple is 68 meters wide, 32 meters deep and 16 meters high. The monument and its statue are impressive. It's overlooking the Theresienwiese, which hosts famous Oktoberfest, the world's largest and most popular folk festival that began as Prince Ludwig, later King Ludwig I, and Princess Therese of Saxony-Hildburghausen wedding celebration with a horse race more than 200 years ago, in 1810. At the beginning, Oktoberfest was held in October, but it was moved to September due to nicer weather and longer days. We leave the park passing the Duchies Museum, which is the world's largest museum of science and technology and which welcomes more than 1.5 million visitors per year. We take the subway in the direction of Marienplatz. This is the historical heart of Munich. Numerous buildings and monuments are concentrated here, and it's often the meeting place of all Munich's inhabitants. Marienplatz is recognizable by the imposing Gothic town hall dating from 1900, which was completely destroyed during the Second World War. Its carillon rings several times a day, and like any good tourist, we wait patiently for the show to begin. The square is grandiose, and no wonder it's such a touristy place. We can't wait to get to the top to admire the show from above. And speaking of which, just next door, the Altopeter is located. And to access the panoramic view, we will have to climb 306 steps or 56 meters. The only thing we can say is that it's worth it. The view is breathtaking in all directions. Marienplatz, of course, with the town hall, and the Frauenkirche, Church of Our Lady, the Old Town, and if the weather allows it, we can even see the Alps, which constitute, with the skyline of Munich, the perfect postcard. Entrance fee to the tower, €5 per person, from 12 to 4:40 p.m. The access to the church is obviously free. Thus, we go down these 306 steps to discover the parish church of Saint-Pierre, which conceals many artistic treasures. Among them, a master altar of the beginning of the 18th century. We leave the church and return to the square where the pretty fish detailed fountain is located slightly off-center on the square. The Mary's column was erected in 1638 to celebrate the end of the Swedish occupation during the 30 Years' War. It's surmounted by a gilded statue of the Virgin Mary on a moon corsage. It was the first column of this type built north of the Alps and inspired the installation of other Marian columns in this part of Europe. The 4 statues represented at the foot of the column fight against a different beast, symbolizing the adversities overcome by the city. The lion for the war, the basilic for the plague, the dragon for the famine, and the serpent for the heresy. Those 306 steps made us hungry. We end up at the Viktualienmarkt, located right next to the Marienplatz. This market has existed since the 19th century, the time of King Maximilian I. And it's here that we eat, perfect place to eat Bavarian specialties without breaking the bank. On the menu, necessary for Munich, beer and sausage. And cherry on the cake, the sun allows us to eat at the terrace. After this well-deserved meal, we head for the Church of the Holy Spirit. A Romanesque chapel dedicated to Saint Catherine was built to serve a hospice founded in 1208 by Duke Louis I of Bavaria. After the hospice and the chapel was destroyed by fire in 1327, was built a new hospice, and the chapel was replaced by a Gothic church dedicated to the Holy Spirit. It was entirely renovated in Baroque style between 1724 and 1730. Direction Max-Joseph-Platz, and we cross beautiful streets, squares where fountains and statues are enthroned. Cold but sunny. The walk is pleasant. Arrived to the place, we discover the building of the National Theatre. It's a building of neoclassical architecture, built approximately following the plans of the Odeon Theatre in Paris. It was designed by Carl von Fischer between 1811 and 1818. Destroyed by fire in 1823, it was rebuilt in 1825. It was then destroyed during the Second World War and rebuilt between 1958 and 1963. It has a capacity of 2,101 seats. We now head for the residence in Munich, which was the castle of the dukes, prince-electors and king of Bavaria. It has 10 courtyards and 130 rooms. The construction of the residence is spread over several centuries, and therefore there is a mixture of Renaissance, Baroque, Rococo and classical style. Its construction began in 1363, and it's one of the largest royal palaces in Europe. A visit to this large urban palace is one of the must-do activities in Bavaria. It has many magnificent rooms. The 66-meter-long antiquarium, the oldest room in the palace, is one of the most beautiful Renaissance rooms in Europe and impresses with its frescoed vault and ancient busts. We now arrive at the Promenadeplatz, which is a long rectangular square. In the 15th century, the city's salt warehouse was located here, which was demolished in 1778. Since 1804, it has been a large green space. 5 monuments adorn the square, including the statue of Roland de Lassus. It became the memorial of Michael Jackson since in 1997 the singer has stayed at the hotel Bavaria. The Cathedral of Our Lady in Munich is the largest church in the city. It's located on Frauenkirche, and just in front of the church there is a fountain with bubbling water mushrooms. No water today, but we can imagine that in summer the place is nice and refreshing. Unfortunately, we have little time to admire it. It's the seat of the Archdiocese of Munich and Freising and is located in the center of the city on Frauenkirche, about 2 minutes from Marienplatz. The two towers can be seen from all sides. The present cathedral replaced an older church from the 11th century. Its construction started in 1468 and the two towers were completed in 1488. The famous domes on top of each tower date back to 1525. Their design was copied from the Byzantine-inspired dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. The two towers reach 99 meters in height, with one tower 12 cm taller than the other. The interior gives an impression of height and uncluttered simplicity. The Frauenkirche can hold 20,000 worshippers standing. Much of the Gothic interior was destroyed during the World War II. The reconstruction looked pale in comparison to the original. However, the Teufelsstrut, literally Devil's Kick, can be seen at the entrance of the Gothic nave. It's a black footprint-like mark with a small tail attached to the heel which, according to legend, is where the devil stood when he mocked the windowless church that Halsbach had built. On south of the church, we discover the Feldenhalle, which is a loggia located on the Odeon Square. It was built from 1841 to 1844 on the model of the loggia of Florence. Its purpose was to mark the beginning of the Ludwigstrasse, and it was to create a harmonious transition between the old city and the new avenue. Located east of Odeonsplatz, Hofgarten is a pleasant Italian garden built on the north side of the residence in the 17th century. It's a real oasis of greenery. Surrounded by hedges and filled with lime trees, this magnificent Renaissance garden is situated around a remarkable construction, the Temple of Diana. It's a pavilion designed in 1615 in the middle of the park. The garden is surrounded by imposing buildings such as the Bavarian State Chancellery, an art gallery, or the banquet hall of the residence. Central and with a lot of charm, it's a pleasant and very peaceful garden, ideal to forget the noise of the city without having to go too far away. And we continue our walk to another green oasis, the English Garden, which has an area equivalent to about 640 soccer fields. It's one of the largest public gardens in the world. Ideal for escaping the hustle and bustle of the city, you can walk through the woods, meadows, and along the waters of the garden in the quieter northern part. In winter, with good snow, conditions and cold temperatures, you can even go cross-country skiing, skating on the lake or sledding on the hill of Monopteros. The view from this Greek-inspired temple is worthwhile. At any time of the year, as you can see all of Munich's most important sites at a glance. It's now time to head to the famous Olympic Park. On the way, we cross the famous BMW Museum. We cross the road by a gigantic bridge and arrive in the complex. The Olympic Park of Munich is a vast complex of 3 square kilometers, 300 hectares, arranged on the occasion of the Olympic Games in 1972 in the north of the city. The platform of the Olympic Tower, about 190 meters high, offers a magnificent view of the city up to the peaks of the Alps. The 1972 Summer Games venues, the Olympic Stadium and Olympic Hall are still in use all year round. The site is dominated by the television tower Olympiaturm, 290 meters high. The night falls, and we decide to return to the city center for a dinner at restaurant. I'm happy on my own, making coffee just for one. On the menu, it will be traditional delicacy of fingers, roast pork from neck and belly, Apple red cabbage and potato dumplings. As explained by kind waiter, this dish is usually on plate for Christmas. We ended our dinner with a mousse au chocolat for dessert.
No longer there to make me comb my hair, fix my tie.
And of course, we can't end our day without going for a drink in the city's most famous beer palace. Founded in 1589 by Duke Wilhelm V of Bavaria, the brewery moved to the town square in 1654 and received permission to sell its beer to the public in 1828. In 1896, the brewery became too small and transferred its production to the suburbs. On April 25, 1944, it was bombed and reopened in 1958. Today, it has franchises in many cities in Germany, but also in Miami, Dubai, Shanghai, Bangkok, and many other cities. And Las Vegas, where it's an identical replica of the one in Munich.
I guess some of the time, maybe none of the time, I'm happy on my own.
On our way from Munich, we stop at Nymphenburg for a morning visit. It's a beautiful palace with a park that is one of the major attractions of Munich. The decision to build the castle was as romantic as the name Nymphenburg. After years of childlessness, the couple Elector Ferdinand Maria and Henriette Adélaïde of Savoy finally welcomed a son. In 1664, the Elector ordered the construction of the castle at the gates of Munich as a gift for his wife Adélaïde of Savoy. The most famous architects, sculptors, stucco artists and painters worked on its construction. The building, originally built in Baroque style, has been transformed several times according to the Rococo or classical spirit of the time. On August 25, 1845, the heir of the throne was born here, Otto Friedrich Wilhelm Ludwig. Even today, everyone knows about the King Ludwig II, his fairy tale castles and his tragic fate. The Green Silk Room, where King Ludwig II was born, is one of the most important rooms in the castle. After our visit to the castle, we went to the park, which is majestic. With its streams, canals, waterfalls and bridges, lakes, statues and manor houses, the park is like an enchanted forest. For those who have not yet had enough romance, a gondola ride on the middle canal of the castle park, as in the days of the Prince Electors, could be the highlight of the visit. Gondola rides are available between April and mid-October if weather is fine. And so we end our trip in Munich. See you soon for new discoveries.